Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. Jacqueline. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. Jacqueline at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Wild at Heart Man Show, a show for men, by men, about men on USA Global TV and radio. And for those who joined us the first time, my name is Roland. And maybe you can recognize from my accent, I'm not a Native American English or British English speaker. I'm raised and born in a little country in the middle of Europe in Austria. And I'm the moderator and host of this amazing show. And the reason for that is because besides my work I'm doing for organization, the leaderships, as a coach, a trainer, and a consultant, I dedicated my last 2 years to men's work, to support men to become a better version of themselves on different platforms and men's festivals. And actually, a few weeks ago, we started with this amazing show, and now it's already episode number 5. And the topic for today is status issue, meaning, first of all, does the relationship to your father, your dad, have an influence and impact on your masculinity? And when yes, what exactly it is? And it's not me alone. Some of you who joined already should know we have a panel here. We have a panelist of amazing gentlemen, of amazing guys. They're all real and authentic. And that's also the title of the show, Wild at Heart, Real, Authentic, Uncut. That's very important for us because there's so much fake stuff outside. And I'm really happy that I've got real men on the show. So let's bring him on the show. First of all, my dear friend from Germany, Christian BROSCH. Let's welcome Christian.
Hi, Roland. Hi, other guys. Nice to be here back again.
Hi,
As
bro.
Roland mentioned, I'm from Germany, so I'm also a not native English speaker. The rest of my introduction, I guess I can skip because I'm sure you guys out there have watched our episodes that were before this. So I hope you guys enjoy this one as well.
Okay. Thank you so much, Christian. And our next panelist is my dear friend from Poland, MARCIN. Let's bring him on.
Hi, Roland. Hi, Christian. And hello, everyone. Nice to be here again.
Hi, MARCIN. Great to have you back here. Thank you. So the next guy I want to bring on is Hazem. Hazem from Egypt. Welcome, Hazem.
Hi, everybody. Nice to be here again.
Hi, Hazem. Great to have you back on the panelists. Thank you. And my next dear friend, originally from Mexico, but living on a beautiful island, or Mallorca, it has been my home for the last 14 years. Welcome, Ezra.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Roland. Thank you. I hope you're all well and happy and ready for today's show.
Hi, bro. Buenos dias. Buenos tardes.
Hello.
Okay, and last but not least, I hope he's still already backstage, also from Egypt, my dear friend, Mohamed, Mounir. Bring him on the show when he's backstage.
Mounir will be back in a couple of minutes. He's not here.
Okay, so we bring him up later. Okay, no problem with that. Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Yeah, I'm very excited about this topic because this topic has really a tremendous impact on our manhood, on our masculinity. So I just repeated the topic today is issues, we call it shortly, but what it means is, does our relationship to our dad have an influence on our masculinity, and what exactly is the impact? And as you know, guys, I do a lot of research about men's work, and what I found out is when we speak about does the relationship to our dad have an influence, and yes, of course it has. So the relationship with our father as a start affects, of course, our relationship. So there are many ways relationships with our fathers can affect our own, for example, romantic ones, because they can cause, at the worst, fear of abandonment, inability to trust, or low expectations of man, and even feelings of insecurity on one hand. And on the other hand, what we see is how a father issue effects on man is that males who did not have a father at all, who the father was not present at all, so meaning they're growing up without a father, they have insecurities in their masculinity, and their insecurities can make them avoid dating or sex altogether. And my last statement before I open the panelists, I want to consider something very interesting is what I learned previously is what has a tremendous impact is how our mother sees our father, and this has also an impact on our masculinity. So who wants to step in first, gentlemen, on your relationship to your dad and the impact on your masculinity? Christian.
Okay, so I step in. Well, of course, it's absolutely important how our father raises us. For myself, I have been since my age of like when I'm born to the age of 3, I was with my real father. Then there was a break. And then there came my stepfather. So I had those 2 role models, male role models, and who had a huge impact on my developing as a man was my grandfather, in fact, because my mother was working a lot and partying a lot. So I grew up a huge, well, I think it was from 2 to 7 or something. I was a lot of time I spent with my grandparents, and he had a big effect on me. So I think, yes, the father is very important, but I think the male the male role model is the very important thing, the one who's closest to you. And emotionally, my grandfather was. So he gave the biggest imprint on me and on my feeling as a male.
So Christian, when I stand you, probably you already have a good news in the beginning for our male audiences, meaning when there's no present father, another role model, a rather male model, can step in, and that's all good. Is that what you want to say?
Definitely, yes.
Okay, that's good news, because sometimes some of us raise up without a dad for any reason. Okay, yeah, thanks for that. Martin, I see you that you want to say something.
Yeah, well, so as Christian said about actually lacking for some time this male figure, I was wondering how was about me. And actually, I had a dad, and I have him still, but our relationship was not very good from the beginning. So there was like big problems in communication. And then when I grew up at age 25, I think, I met this amazing gentleman who taught me how to be a man, actually. And therefore, I can say that I have 2 fathers. With one, I have no contact with whatsoever already, but I kept my biological one, let's say. So yeah, I totally agree that if our father is not there emotionally or psychologically, in some ways, we can search for other teachers as well. And it is even better sometimes because we can pick and choose just the people that we appreciate and the kind of men that we personally want to become. So I think it is crucial to understand that.
Thank you, Marcin. Thanks for that, for your statement. Esther, what's your experience?
Well, my experience. Well, I certainly do believe that the presence, the real presence of a male figure in our lives as men, is very, very important. I myself, I had a father who was there. He was a very successful executive in Mexico, but he was not present as a man. He was gone most of the time. Um, in fact, I would say all the time. So I had to, in a way, I imagine uh, myself by looking, by reading, by exposure to other men in my life, older men or yeah, that I would see as a father figure. There was actually an uncle of mine, Jose Julio. He was he, to me he was and still is the prototype of the father, of the man, and of the husband as well. So yeah, I do believe that it's very important to have a healthy relationship with a father or a father figure. Otherwise, we would have to work with it in our life, as I had to for a while, because it affected my relationship not only with myself as a man, but my relationship with other men as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank Hassan. What's your story?
Yes, actually, I'm very lucky to have my father beside me all my life. He's a charismatic person, loved and respected by everyone. He's an orthopedic surgery professor, and he is a hard worker and a genius and dedicated for work. Yes, he didn't give me too much time. I know because of his work dedication, but actually the few hours or the few minutes I spend with him from my childhood, I get morals all the time out of his mouth and his experience. He wants to coach me and he wants to say everything to me. He speaks about history to me. He speaks about ethics. He speaks about charity programs, personal relations. Actually, he is an encyclopedia. Of course, this kind of charismatic person or character, it doesn't give you the space to speak. He wants to just give you all it takes. He doesn't want to hear a lot from you because he meets people every minute in the hospital and in the clinic and different social classes, different people from different cultures, and he go into a brain challenge with them. He wants to give me all this knowledge with of course I have benefited a lot. This has impacted my masculinity and the way I think and the way I treat people with the respect, and I want to be treated in respect in the opposite. Yes, we have a lot to talk on later, but I don't want to take all the time from you guys. Let's check Mounir now.
Thank you, Hassan. Thanks a lot. Mounir, did you have in your childhood, did you have a dad? First of all, welcome on the panel. My dear friend, did you have a father in your childhood who was there or present? Or if not, did you have another male role model?
Yes, Alhamdulillah. It was. I did have a father he's still living, by the way, for till now. Alhamdulillah, God to give him the health and for that. It's yes, he was there. He was there during my childhood. He was there as well during the tough time. And it was he was supporting all the way. Different elements from that. I mean, if I did take a lot, and he was really making the impact on my personality, the way I'm thinking, and so on. And I know exactly that he was passing everything that he have learned before, and that was one of his main job, is to raise us the way he was raised. A lot of issues happened. Toughness. It was really not the because he was coming from the military and the intelligence background, and he was working with the intelligence. So it was a lot of this kind of very stiff, very strict. Everything has to be in place. You need to be watching out for everything that happens around you. You need to be looking for everything that is there. And it was really hard with that idea about being myself, being sensitive. That way, putting the pressure on me, getting to be much more tougher and so on. It really affected the relationship. It really affected this process of being myself a lot. However, everything that he have done, now I understand it. Now I appreciate it, and I understand that he did his best when he was trying to raise us as men.
Thank you, Mounir. Thank you. Yes, I also want to share a little bit my story. I mean, I had a dad until I was 18, then my parents separated. But during the first 18 years, I had a dad, but he was not present. He left home Monday morning early, came back on the weekends, was totally under stress, exhausted, overwhelmed. So there was not, he had no time for us as a kid. He had no patience for us because he was exhausted. When kids are small, they're asking questions, they're doing this, run and run. So he was very impatient with us. That's what I learned from him, impatience here. So I had not a dad, but in my early years, actually in ground school, I found another male role model, was one of my teachers who was with me actually for 4 years. Then when I went to secondary school, I had another teacher who became a role model for me. And later on, the uncle of one of my first, I wouldn't say my first girlfriend, but my first relationship with a girl when I was 16, 17 years old. My uncle became a male role model for me. So I learned from this gentleman a lot. And as Mounir said, my father passed away 2 years ago. When I think back, I guess he did his best what he could do. Some of his characters or his habitudes are in me, and now I can appreciate them. But to be honest, many, many years ago, when I got a feedback from somebody, maybe from my mom, and this was one of my statements in the beginning, how your mom sees your dad has an impact on your masculinity. What I mean is, the worst thing that my mom could say to me, or somebody else who was close to me, who know me and my dad, was when I got the feedback, you're behaving or you're talking like your dad. And I saw this always as a very bad feedback, because I had no relationship to my dad. I had a lot of fear of him. Yeah, it was a fearful relationship, if it was a relationship at all. So this had an impact on myself and how I raised my kids and my partnership. Okay, gentlemen. Yes, so we had, before we go further in the panel, I want to encourage our audience. Maybe you follow us on a TV station, or on a broadcast, on a radio station, but maybe you follow us also on a social media where you can communicate with us. So if you want to add something, we are very eager to know your situation, what's your background, what's your experience with your relationship with your dad and the impact on your masculinity. We're more than happy to hear your opinion on that and your experience on that. So please type in or chat with us, or also go on our website on bonfire.com if you want to get in touch with one of the panelists in personal. Okay, so that's what I want to say. So, gentlemen, we have been talking about, okay, there was a dad, was not a dad. I don't know if normally I'm very good in maths. I was counting well. So I guess Hazem was the first one out of 4 who said, okay, he had a present dad. Is this correct? Yeah. And yeah, actually, well, Mounir, you had what I got from your story, Mounir, is that you had a dad who was very structured because of his professional background. Was he a real role model for you? Was he present for you? I did not get this from you.
No, it wasn't. To be honest, I was at that point of time, I felt a lot of pressure It was like you said, Roland, my mom, and the way she was talking about my dad, it was not really in the good way. So at that point of time, I was always trying to understand and see what he's doing. And then at that point of time, I was thinking of how to avoid what he was doing, so not to do the same things that he's doing. uh, uh, Never been able to think that I would grow up to be as him, because for me it was really heartless. It was a little bit of very strict, very. He wants to raise men. However, it's the way it was run, not really from giving this kind of intimacy and fatherhood. So and that's what created afterward what we call a critical father during my head. So it was always, and that's far till now, every negative talk and so on that happens to me, trying to be the best, always trying to be perfect at everything, and it all becomes from this kind of old technique of the critical father that I was living in. So he was present, he was there, but the way he was always pushing for perfectionist, for doing the right things, was not really in the right manner.
Okay. Okay, so when I summarize this, gentlemen, we are six in the panel, and actually 1 out of 6 said yes, there was a father, he was present, I learned from him, he was a very good teacher. It's out of 6, and that's really interesting because this is by chance, this is absolutely representative for the majority of men. So less than 15%, and I have to stretch out of our generations. Okay, when you ask a younger guy, it may be different, but from our generations, we all around 40 plus. Yeah, let's be kind to some of us. Ladies, if you listen to us, watch us, I know I look older. Okay, but we are 40 plus, more or less. Uh, and in our generation, maybe it's become because of the times they had in the 60s and the 70s. That's really working hard, building up businesses or making career. There was less time for family. Values have been differently than they are nowadays, for sure. But this is extremely the same figures than we found in research, that less than 15% of our generation says, yes, I had a dad, he was present, I learned from him positive stuff that helped me to be in my masculinity, in my relationship. Absolutely. Okay, guys. So my next question is to you. What was the impact of that situation, and when did you realize it? I assume that you can remember. Okay, I assume you can remember. When did you realize it the first time? Oh, I have some struggles, some challenges, some difficulties, and maybe you find it out later that it was related to the relationship to your maybe existing or non-existing or present or non-existing dad. Ezra, you want to start?
Yes, yes, of course. This is a very important question. We start off by talking about our fathers and how they were present or not, when actually what's most important is it's how the presence is affecting us, or how we are dealing with the teachings from our fathers. And yeah, like you guys said, after a while, when you grow older as a man, you realize and understand the reasons and the purposes of how our parents or our fathers, our daddies, were with us. We get to understand more of them because we're able to put ourselves in our shoes. But then the next question is to figure out how did this behavior or patterning has affected us. And I personally, I can say that my father's successful way of life, his independence, um, pushed me also towards excellence, let's say, to be good in sports, to be good in school, to to have the number one spots in whatever I strive to. So I became quite competitive. I was very competitive in what I did, and also in my social life. So I noticed that myself not very long ago. that all this teachings that I received indirectly, because he wasn't there to tell me what to do, but by example, I followed the role or the example of being trying to be outstanding. So it was always a stressful kind of life in sports, best in tennis, good in American football and swimming, in school. So I had always to be in the first spots. And this was also because that's a way that I received some way and a recognition from my father. This is the way that I felt myself. I was indeed receiving love from my father. So if that was the only way that I felt his love, by his recognition of my deeds, you could say. And that, of course, turned back onto me and I realized that I was very I asked too much of myself. To the point that I got sick. I had a heart attack when I was 39 years old, and I've had a heart operation as well. And I've realized that a lot of it had to do with the stress and this asking too much of myself, due to the teachings that I received from my father to always be the best. And while I was the best, or tried to be at least, I had to be strong and cold and not show my emotions whenever I had some experience of defeat or pain. So yeah, that is my experience, at least partial experience, because there's a lot to talk about in a sense. But the one that I now, for the moment, I can remember, I can express for you. Yeah, I hope it was clear.
Thank you, Ezra. Thank you, Ezra. Before we continue with Christian, I'm also really looking forward to hear Christian. We go on a commercial break, and after commercial break, we continue with the panelists on the question: what's the impact on the masculinity of our dad? And we start with Christian. Let's have a short look about our sponsors.
The session that we had with BCAT was really entertaining and enlightening. We were able to put together some very specific steps that we as individuals can take, and it was really fun to all come together and see sort of where we're going as a team and how we can all get there together.
We had a tremendous experience with the BCAT partners. One of the challenges that we have as an organization is to make sure that we have the right people in the right chairs doing the right thing. To do that well, you have to have synergy. You can try to dream up ways to make sure that your group does that, or you can rely on experts. We would recommend BCAT partners to anybody who's looking to take their organization to the next level.
That place, those people.
We need to talk to you about your time growing up in St Leonard's Children's Home. 6 of your 8 housemates committed suicide, Mr. Connolly. I'm afraid I have to tell you that another child in your care home, Liam Carroll, has also recently taken his own life.
Jason, Andrew. Liam. I need to find some people.
I said get out! out to end them. Ah!
If you want to be spending the rest of your life in prison, boy, I'm happy to tell you what you need to know.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.
So welcome back to Wild at Heart, real, authentic, uncut, the man show, a show by man, for man, about man on USA Global TV and radio. And myself and the panelists, we bring them up right now. We are discussing the topic dad's issue, meaning what influence has our relationship with our dad, present or not present, or with another maybe male role model with our masculinity. So welcome back our panelists like MARCIN, like Christian, Ezra, Hazem, and Mounir. And well, actually the second commercial was really touching to me. Why boys don't cry. It was very touching. So Christian, what's your experience? When did you figure out that the existing, non-existing dad, the relationship to your non-existing dad or other role models had an impact on your masculinity? When did you find it out, and what was what triggers you, or what was the root cause for that?
Well, I found it out all the time he was around, because he did things I wasn't okay with. Like we were 3 kids at home. So my mother had a lot of work to do, like, well, homework. So he didn't help at home. And I was like, hey, man, she's your wife. You got to help her, stuff like that. So there was always a kind of aggression between him and me. And it took some time until I got it into conscious that the first step I could take to change something of my masculinity is to forgive, because I had to accept that what he did was the best he ever could do. And the time I released this anger inside of me, that was the time healing started. And that was the time when my relations got better, to men, to women, to myself. That was the time when I could start to be a man how I want to be a man, to find out my own worths, like how will I be as a man. And so to answer your question correct, it's I experienced this feeling of there is something wrong in my relationship to my dad, like all the time, since the age of 3 to the age of 16 when I moved away from home and got my first own place to live. And then it took another, I'd say, 8 to 10 years to get into conscious that the way of healing this is to forgive him.
That's a very important topic that you stretch out here is forgiveness, and it's also important even when there, especially on this topic, when there was no father present or didn't do the right thing, that we understand that he was just doing the best thing he could do. That's absolutely, because that I strongly believe in humanity, and all human beings want to serve and want to do the best thing they can do. And some things, the bad things they're doing is just in this situation, in this time period, just the best thing they could offer. Absolutely. And as you
I
said,
have a question, Roland. I have a question to Christian, if you don't mind,
please.
Yeah, did you ever try, Christian, to open up with your father and speak to him and telling him, for example, that he's a little bit aggressive or hard on you? Did you ever have the chance to make such a conversation, or you didn't have this chance?
Yes, there was the chance to somehow figure this out with him. But this was quite late. So I was about 40 or something. And by that, he was almost 70. And long before that time, I forgave him. So there was no really emotional potential inside this talking no more. It was just like more like clearing facts out. So you did that made this with me, but inside of me, this wound or this hurting was no longer there. So I could take him in my arms and put into this hug all of my love. So, and there were no harsh feelings no more, because I decided it's okay. I forgive him. He did the best he could. So that's when the healing was already done, like that.
Okay, Doc.
Question.
Yes, I think Hazem is saying something that is really important, because unlike Christian, I was not able to figure out that I do have a problem from that until I got divorced, and I was at that point of time 46. I did that in being 47. This is when I had the chance to understand that there is something called critical father in my subconscious and in my head all the time, and this is where I am struggling to be perfect all the time. And I did have this conversation, tough conversation, when I was at 47. That was at the time when I said just I was driving him back home, and then we arrived at our old home, and then before he go, and I started, and we stood at the car for like 3 hours, and I started giving him all the questions that I had, and then he was listening, and then suddenly after I finished, and he said, "I'm really sorry, but I did not mean that." And this is where it started to have a different kind of conversation. It is important to have this unfinished business being talked to, even if they passed away. We can bring their figures, and then we talk to them and finish this business before it takes the grudges on us.
Gentlemen, time is running, so I suggest I want to hear Ezra's comment, then we wrap up with Marcin, and I suggest that then, on the next episode we go deeper on this topic too. I guess we need more time on that. Is this okay, gentlemen? Okay, Ezra, your comment on Christian.
Well, yeah, I just wanted to ask Christian, because he expressed how he figured out his the way he felt about his father and how he solved it himself. But I was wondering, how did it affect him? How did it affect you, Christian? The way that your father was when you were a child. How did it affect you in your lifetime? As a man, as a husband, as a friend, as a boy, that will help not only us but our audience to relate to you, not only with the fact that you pardon, because finally the solution is pardon, but how it's good to have awareness of how did it affect us, how did it affect you?
From my now standpoint, I would say I was I don't know how to say it in English. I was like too nice to women because I kind of, is it over exaggerated? So I went too far with this because I've seen how my dad was to women, and I would be like more helpful to them. So I maybe gave too much because I had no scale of what is the right amount of. So and by this time I wasn't able to communicate this. So I was like, okay, what do you need from me? Which is a very important question. So what do you need? Like we had in an episode before. So it affected me on women's side, like I said. And with men, I always felt kind of insecure because as Roland mentioned earlier this episode, I didn't feel secure with other men because my dad didn't give me this feeling of home and strength, and there is a man who can hold me and give me like shelter and stuff like that. So this is my answer. Yes, I was insecure.
Thank you, Christian. Thank you for your answer. I can just say that I can relate to you in that way because I also, due to my experience with my father, I became a lady's savior in my life. I used to do things for the women and do things for them over myself, and then I realized that it was probably not the right way either. And thank you.
Marcin, you want to step in or the next show or right now?
Let's do it next show. I think what the guys just said is the best wrap-up.
Absolutely. Thank you, Martin, for that. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, our audience, thanks for listening and thanks for watching us on the show. If you missed something, you can always go to the recordings, for example, on YouTube. When you go on USA Global TV and Radio, put in Wild at Heart, you find the episode. You can also watch it again. You can also share it with other friends. If you said, okay, there's a friend who needs some support, there's the same issue, we're more than happy if you share it. If you want to contact us, just go on the website. It's bonfiretalks.com. And on this website, you find all these amazing, handsome guys with their short bio, with their picture and their contact details. And if you have a desire to talk with men, to share with men, you will also find a link on this website to Sparing for Men, where we offer twice a month on a virtual base on Zoom, where we meet together and share our stuff. And we offer this in English right now and in German. So thank you very much. And as I said before, if you have any comments, let us know. If you have any topics to discuss, you're more than welcome. Hey, bros, stay safe until the next time. Thank you so much, and bye-bye.